I was 13 the year this happened, old enough to stay up late playing games, but still young enough to sprint up the stairs when the hallway fell to dark. My family lived in a quiet suburb neighborhood in Ohio, the kind of place where people left their garage doors open without worrying. My parents, Mark and Linda, trusted the area so much that they rarely locked the backyard gate. My older sister, Ashley, used to joke that the scariest thing back there was a raccoon digging in our trash. I wished she were right. It started on a cold Friday night while my parents were out celebrating their anniversary. Ashley was babysitting me, which basically meant she was on her phone all night while I played Xbox in the living room. Around 10:40 p.m., I heard something outside, something like gravel shifting under slow, heavy footsteps. I paused my game and glanced toward the sliding glass door that faced our backyard. The curtains were half open, and through the small gap, I saw it, a shadow, tall, motionless, right at the edge of our yard. At first, I thought it was our neighbor's tree or maybe a misplaced lawn decoration, but then it moved a slow leaning. Like someone trying to peer through the glass, I froze. "Hey, Ashley," I whispered. But my voice cracked. She didn't even look up. "What now?" "Evan, I think someone's outside." She rolled her eyes and walked over dramatically, pulling the curtain aside. "No one." She gave me that classic older sister look. "You seriously need to stop watching horror videos. Mom's going to take away your phone again." But when she walked back to the kitchen, I stayed there at the curtain, heart hammering. Because right where that figure had been standing, the grass was flattened in a long oval shape. Like someone had been standing there for a very long time. I locked the back door. For the next hour, things felt normal again. Ashley made popcorn. I continued playing, and the house settled into the quiet sounds I was used to. Then, at 11:57 p.m., everything changed. A loud, slow scratching came from the sliding glass door. Not tapping, not knocking. Scratching like a coin being dragged across the glass. I turned round expecting Ashley to be messing with me, but she was upstairs in her room with the door closed. The scratching grew louder. My stomach dropped. I took one step toward the living room, reaching for the remote to pause my game, when a face suddenly pressed against the glass. A man. A very pale man, cheeks sunken, eyes wide open like he hadn't blinked in hours, his breath fogged. The glass as he whispered something I couldn't hear. I screamed. Ashley bolted downstairs. When I pointed at the door, the man was gone again. But now there was a handprint smeared across the glass, long fingers, longer than normal. Ashley grabbed the house phone and called our parents. But Dad didn't answer. Then she called 911. The dispatcher told us to go upstairs, lock the doors, and wait. As we ran up the stairs, we heard our backyard gate creak open, the gate Dad always forgot to lock. Halfway up the staircase, we heard footsteps inside our backyard. Slow, deliberate, as if whoever was out there wanted us to hear. We locked ourselves in Ashley's room. She pushed a dresser against the door while I hid behind her bed, shaking so hard the mattress springs rattled. For almost 10 minutes, the only sound was our breathing. Then, from downstairs, came the unmistakable sound of the sliding glass door handle being pulled. Click dash click dash click dash click, over and over, faster and more frustrated. Ashley covered her mouth to stop herself from crying. I curled into a ball, praying the police would hurry. Then the sound stopped. Total silence. The silence was worse, because after a few seconds, we heard him inside the house. Someone was in our kitchen. We heard slow steps across the hardwood floor. A drawer opening, then another. like he was searching for something. We didn't dare move. When the police finally arrived, it was sudden red and blue lights flooding through the windows. Officers shouted. But by the time they entered the house, the man was gone. The police found muddy footprints on our kitchen floor, leading from the sliding door to the hallway. They found the backyard gate open. They even found a small pile of nails and bolts on our back porch, probably removed from our broken fence earlier in the day. But they never found the man. That night, my dad installed new locks, cameras, and motion lights. The police patrolled our street for a week. But the scariest part wasn't what they found. It was what they didn't. Because the next morning, on the outside of my bedroom window 1 story up, there were handprints. The same long-fingered prints. To this day, I still don't know how he reached my window, or why he was watching our house in the first place. All I know is this: he wasn't trying to break it. He was trying to see who was home. And now, whenever I hear footsteps outside at night, I check the locks twice, just in case. I was 20 when I moved into my first apartment, tiny, cheap, and barely safe. But it was mine. It sat on the edge of a small college town in Colorado. Quiet, except for the occasional train that passed at midnight. My apartment faced the parking lot. I could see every car come and go from my living room window. And one night, one of those cars shouldn't have been there. It was a white sedan, parked directly in front of my unit. Headlights off, engine running. At first, I assumed it was an Uber waiting on someone. But after 30 minutes, it was still idle. No movement, no doors opening. Then I noticed the driver, a man sitting very still, his posture too straight, his face shadowed except for his eyes, which were staring directly at my window. I closed the blinds. 20 minutes later, when I peeked again, the car was still there. But now the man was outside, standing next to his driver's door, staring up at my apartment. No phone in his hand. No cigarette. Just staring. I called the non-emergency police line. They said they'd send a patrol car when available. While waiting, I walked to the kitchen. That's when I heard it. Tap, dot, tap, dot, tap. On my living room window. My breath caught. I turned slowly. The blinds were still mostly closed, but someone was touching them, poking into them. I could see the silhouette of fingers pressing against the fabric. Their voice, "I know you're in there." I backed into the hallway and locked myself in the bathroom. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped my phone twice trying to dial 911. When the police arrived, the man was gone again. But officers confirmed the white sedan was still in the lot empty. They ran the plates. The car was registered to someone 2 counties away. They checked security cameras. Nothing useful. But the officer told me something unsettling. "You should stay somewhere else tonight." Something about that guy feels wrong. I went to my friend Josh's place and stayed there. The next day, when I returned home, there was a note under my door. Just one sentence: "You left too soon." My whole body went cold. I reported it, changed the locks, even bought a camera for the window. But he kept coming back. Some nights, the camera caught his silhouette walking slowly past my apartment. Other nights, his car appeared in the lot again. Always the same routine: park, wait, stare, leave. The worst night was 3 weeks later. I woke up to the sound of someone trying multiple keys on my front door. Click, click, click. Click, trying key after key after key. I grabbed a kitchen knife and hid behind my couch, calling 911. The man jiggled the handle for nearly 8 full minutes before he stopped. And then, he whispered through the door, "Why won't you let me in, Tyler?" I drove a long way. The police arrived again, but as usual, he vanished. That was the night I broke my lease. I moved out the next morning, paid the fee, packed my car, never looked back. 2 months later, police finally identified the man. He wasn't from Colorado. He wasn't from 2 counties away. He was from California, and he had no idea who I was. His explanation: "You remind me of someone he never explained, someone he wouldn't name." Police arrested him for trespassing, but he was released shortly after. They told me to stay alert. I still don't know what he wanted, why he followed me, why he kept trying to get inside. But sometimes, in random parking lots, I still see the same white sedan drive by slow watching. Waiting. Most people think getting old makes you fearless, that after living long enough, nothing surprises you anymore. They're wrong. I'm 70 years old. I've lived alone since my wife passed. My home sits at the edge of a forest in northern Michigan, quiet, peaceful. Exactly what I wanted for retirement. But peace can turn into isolation. And isolation can turn into something much darker. It started one winter at around 2 a.m. I woke to the sound of crunching snow outside my bedroom window. Slow steps, heavy ones. I thought maybe it was a deer. But when I parted the curtains, I didn't see an animal. I saw a man, a tall man, standing in the snow, facing my window. Not moving, just breathing clouds of warm air into the freezing night. I flicked the porch light on. He didn't flinch, didn't run. He just tilted his head slowly, as if studying me. I shouted at him, threatened to call the police. He finally took one step back then, another then turned and walked into the woods. I should have called 911. But for some reason, I didn't. I convinced myself he was a lost hiker. That was mistake number 1. 2 nights later, he returned. This time, he wasn't outside my window. He was standing at the tree line, closer than the first night, staring again. I shouted. He didn't react. On the 3rd night, I boarded up the window and kept a flashlight beside me. On the 4th night, he started knocking. 3 knocks. Always 3. Always slow. Not at the front door. Not at the back door. At my bedroom window. I called the police that time. They searched for footprints but found nothing. No sign of anyone. But I knew what I saw. The 5th night was the worst. I woke around 1 a.m. to the sound of something brushing against my house siding. A slow gliding sound, like fingertips running along the wood. I held my breath. Then came the whisper, "Harold, let me in. It's cold out here." Hearing your own name spoken by a stranger in the middle of the night, it does something to you. I grabbed the phone, but before I could dial, something pounded on the window hard enough to rattle the frame. I backed away. My heart felt like it would explode. Then the whisper came again. "I know you're awake." The police arrived 20 minutes later. Again, no footprints. No broken branches. Nothing. They suggested maybe I was dreaming. A 70-year-old man imagining things, sure. Easy explanation. until the 6th night. At exactly midnight, all the power in my house shut off. The lights stopped the heat. Everything. I grabbed my flashlight and checked the breaker panel. And touched. Then, through the silence, came the familiar sound of snow crunching outside. I pointed my flashlight at the window. And there he was. Closer than ever. Face pressed right against the glass. Eyes wide. Lips curled into a shaking grin. My blood turned to ice. He raised one hand and touched the window dot slowly. Deliberately. Then he mouthed, "I'm not going anywhere." I fired a warning shot through the ceiling with my old hunting rifle and screamed at him to leave. He vanished into the dark. Police searched again. No tracks. No evidence. I moved out 3 days later. Sold the house to a young couple who thought I was just a paranoid old man. 2 months later, the woman contacted me. She said every night around 2 a.m., they hear someone tapping the window. Always 3 times. And worse, their little daughter said she sees a man standing by the trees watching the house. The couple asked me if I knew anything. If I had ever seen someone like that. I didn't know what to say. But I do know one thing. Some people break into homes because they want something inside. But some people don't want to come in at all. Some people just want to watch.